Harvey would sometimes pick me up from school. I'd watch him surf and follow him around and watch him get stoned, whatever he wanted. He didn't make me happy, yet I was convinced that I was in love and that it was okay to be in a relationship like this. I couldn't work out what he liked about me, but I guess I was just glad that he could see something that I couldn't. One night Harvey picked me up from my house. He'd been invited to a party and he never really did anything without me, and I love that Harvey wanted to spend all of his free time with me, but I'd also become nervous about spending time with him. We parked a distance from the party and we walked the rest of the way. It wasn't far and I knew the area, but I wasn't familiar with this part of town. The door to the house was unlocked, so we entered without knocking, and that's where I saw 4 of Harvey's mates drinking beer on the couch. They were all pretty drunk and the boys were all laughing and pointing to the TV, and that's when I realised that they were watching porn. I immediately felt shy and embarrassed and extremely uncomfortable, but I didn't want to come across as a prude, so I said nothing. As the night went on, the boys' language got dirtier. I didn't want to be there, but I didn't want to be the nagging girlfriend who ends her boyfriend's night with his friends. So I sat close to Harvey and hoped he was almost ready to leave. But it didn't seem like we were going anywhere, so after a short while I asked Harvey to show me where the toilet was so that I could ask him in private if we could go. He took me by the hand and walked me up the hall. But instead of opening the door to the bathroom, he opened the door of a bedroom. And I knew then that he wanted to have sex. That's all the boys had been talking about all night, and I didn't want to have sex in this person's house with his friends just outside in the lounge room. Then the door opened wider and Harvey's friends came into the room. Then Harvey closed the door behind him as he left me alone with his friends. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want them touching me. I felt like I wanted to cry, but I didn't. It's not that I wouldn't cry, I couldn't. I just went numb. One of his friends laid me down while the other climbed on top of me. I looked over at the other 2 boys resting up against the wall watching me, and when our eyes met, one of the boys looked really sad. He mouthed the words, "Are you okay?" And before I could answer, he just turned around and left the room. He didn't want to be there either. He didn't stop them, but he didn't participate. I actually felt kind of bad for him, and I don't know why. I wanted to yell at him to take me with him, but by then I had 3 guys surrounding me and I didn't feel like I could leave. My own boyfriend just outside the door wouldn't even help me leave. I felt really pathetic. When the boys left the room, Harvey came back. He gave me a hug, helped me dress, and then took me home. And again, we never spoke of that night. Ever. And I never told anyone. I was so disgusted in myself. I didn't know why I'd let that happen again, or why I didn't leave when my instinct told me to. I didn't want to be with him, but I believed that if I broke up with him, everyone would find out what happened, and I didn't want anyone to know. This time was completely my fault. I wanted to leave so many times, but I didn't. I should have learned from the last time, but I didn't. So I had no one else to blame. And I didn't want the questions or the judgment. My high school exams were coming up and I didn't want the extra pressure of being the next piece of gossip. And then a few weeks had passed and everything was good. I do know how ridiculous that sounds, but I continued to see Harvey and that meant seeing his friends. No one spoke about what happened and it was like it never did. It was a normal relationship now. Harvey would take me out for dinner or to the movies. We would just sit around and do nothing, go to the beach, bushwalks, whatever else normal couples did. And Harvey's friends treated me like I was Harvey's girlfriend and not some plaything, and it was nice, finally. And then I heard a rumour that I had helped my boyfriend free himself of his drug debt that night. A debt I had no knowledge of. I didn't think I could feel any lower. And there it was. Hey, so another video where the subject matter was a bit shit, and yes, I know how bad of a pun that is, but the opportunity presented itself, and well, I'm just not going to take it. Anyway, back to the artwork. It's a bit silly, but I really enjoy doing this piece. It took a bit of time because I wanted all the toilets to be the exact same size, proportion, same distance from each other, so that did take a bit of time to sort of work out and plan and then put down on canvas. But once I did, it was actually really fun painting them in. I didn't film the whole process. You only saw me do a couple of coats and it was still too transparent. So there's quite a lot of white on here to make sure that the background didn't come through. However, the texture from the paint behind it came through, and I think that's really cool. It's a really nice effect. You can see here, it might not come up very well on camera, but the water or the leakage, it sounds so disgusting, from the toilet is actually pink leaf. So it has this real sort of shimmer, which I thought was really fun. I do like using leaf. Sometimes I go a bit excessive with it, and other times I just use it as little details, which is fun. And again, the chaos in the background is really cool. I just like the pattern and the repetition, which basically means the same thing. So I don't know why I said that. But I don't know, it's a bit silly, a bit ridiculous, maybe even a bit stupid. But I actually really like this piece. This is one of my favourites so far. Actually, the one that's coming up next is my favourite backdrop of all of them. But I like this one. It's a bit silly. I think I'm going to put a white frame around this one. I like putting white frames around a lot of my artworks just because I use bits of white in them and I feel like it just makes it pop a bit more. If you disagree, you can pop a comment down below if you do disagree. However, I'm still going to frame it in white because I think that's the right thing to do for this piece. Anyway, thank you for stopping by and I will see you in the next one.